Hello and welcome to South Asia Focus. I'm Avneet Arora. This week we discuss the horrific earthquake that struck Nepal and parts of India, killing over 6,000 people. Global players, especially India, swung into action, offering much needed aid to crisis-ridden Nepal. Here's a report. The quake rocked Nepal on April 25th, destroying thousands of buildings in the heavily populated Kathmandu Valley. According to an official from Nepal's Home Ministry, the number of confirmed deaths had risen over 6,000 by May 1st. Almost 11,000 people were injured. Also, more than 80 were killed in neighbouring India and Tibet. Nepal's Prime Minister Sushil Koirala predicted that the death toll could even rise to 10,000 as information on damage from remote villages and towns was yet to come in. India has stepped up rescue and relief operations in Nepal, with the National Disaster Response Force pulling out body after body trapped under the rubble of collapsed buildings in Kathmandu in the hope of finding survivors. As Indian Foreign Secretary S. Jaishankar said, the Indian Air Force also swiftly swung into action and left for Nepal with tons of relief material and rescue equipment.
As I speak to you, our first aircraft, which is a C-130 aircraft, is on its way. It should be landing any time at Kathmandu airport. The aircraft is carrying 3 tons of supplies. It is also carrying 40 members of the National Disaster Response Force and with their equipment. Later on today, we would be having 2 more aircraft, C-17s, which will be taking off. These are bigger aircraft. They will be taking off from Hindon Airport.
It is also in times like these that miracles take place. A team of emergency workers in Kathmandu helped rescue a man trapped for 80 hours in rubble with 3 bodies around him. The man had been on the 2nd floor of a 7-story building when the earthquake hit the city. Fortunately, the floors above him were intact and a Nepali-French joint team drilled down to reach him after hearing his cries for help. The rescue process took about 5 hours.
But his condition is really critical. It seems his both legs are broken and his pulses are also fever, so he might be in shock. He has been under the buildings, I think, for more than 2.5 days.
A major heritage loss to Nepal was the collapse of the 19th century Dharahara Tower and the historic Darbar Square. The Dharahara Tower, built in 1832, was a landmark that had been open to visitors for the last 10 years and had a viewing balcony. A damaged stump measuring just 10 meters was all that was left of the magnificent 14-story structure. Many bodies were recovered from its ruins. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi was on air within hours of the disaster and has since promised to wipe the tears of every Nepali. Nepal's envoy to India, Deep Kumar Upadhyay, thanked New Delhi for rushing in rescue and relief teams to Kathmandu. He said Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Home Minister Rajnath Singh were the first to call him to offer their condolences and all help. He also thanked the Indian Foreign Ministry.
We are very much thankful to the Government of India, especially Ministry of External Affairs. They have extended all kind of support and instructed all the bordering points just to facilitate this kind of relief matter. This should not be abruptive in any way.
Spanish Foreign Minister José Manuel García Margola met Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and sought New Delhi's help in evacuating Spanish nationals who were stranded in Nepal. China, on its part, also said that it was willing to coordinate with India on earthquake relief efforts in Nepal, rubbishing reports of a proxy aid confrontation between the 2 Asian powerhouses in a bid to please Kathmandu.
Now today we expect to have 13 military aircraft go into Kathmandu. 4 of them are C-17s, 3 of them are C-130s, 4 of them are IL-76s and 2 of them are AN-32s. In addition, we had some civil aircraft go in the morning, 2 Air India aircraft and 1 jet to bring back Indians who are stranded there. There are 10 tons of blankets and tents which have been lifted, 50 tons of water which have been supplied by the railways, and 22 tons of food material which have been contributed by different states and voluntary organizations. Once we have a damage assessment, which we hope to have done overnight, by tomorrow our endeavor would be to have 5 helicopters positioned in Kathmandu and 5 helicopters positioned in Pokhara. These helicopters, 8 of them would be Mi-17s, 2 of them will be ALHS. Their role would be to do the local rescue, to do airlift if they have to, and to do food distribution locally.
Special prayers were held in several parts of India to pray for the thousands of people affected by the massive earthquake. The Tibetan government in exile organized a mass prayer in the hill town of Dharamsala. The prayer was attended by over 2,000 Tibetans, including Tibetan Prime Minister in exile Lobsang Sangye, monks, nuns and school students. Tibet's Religion and Culture Minister in exile, Pema Chonjor, said that the prayers were held for those people who've suffered due to the earthquake.
Because the disaster earthquake in Kathmandu and some part of Western Tibet, as well as some part of India, so a lot of people suffering and many of them passed away, died, So we pray for them.
Prayers were also held in the Indian cities of Ajmer and Varanasi. An interesting idea of showing support to the victims came from France.
Over the world and in many forms, including a symbolic climb by the French Spider-Man, equipped with only special bindings.
French climber Alain Robert, known as France's Spider-Man, scaled the 210-meter Montparnasse Tower in central Paris to express his solidarity with victims of the earthquake. With special messages on his hands, Robert jumped from window to window straight to the top of the tower in less than an hour and put up a flag of Nepal.
I wanted to do something to pay respect for those who lost their life because of that earthquake in Nepal, and also those who are stuck in the mountain. There was plenty of people doing some trekking, doing some climbing, near the Mount Everest and other mountains, and they have been deeply affected by the earthquake.
A major worry for Nepal would be putting its tourism sector, which is a huge contributor to its economy, back on track. A lot of the hotels in Kathmandu are completely damaged. The luxurious Yak and Yeti Hotel has 12 cracks, and many of the inexpensive guest houses in the Tamil tourist area are now structurally shaken. To make it worse, the Mount Everest also suffered from the earthquake. The Everest base camp was destroyed and at least 18 trekkers died. All this is a massive blow to the tourism prospects of the country.
It was like 4,000 feet of snow just kind of coming, and there's nowhere to run. So I told everybody to get down, and then I put my hands over my head and just bury myself as much as I could. And basically the snow hit. It's about 45 seconds or a minute for it to go by.
We knew that there was no rescue by walking, because there were some people who were not capable of doing it because the trail was covered with debris and huge boulders, so you had to climb over that. So we knew that in some ways we're actually blocked. The only way out was helicopter. So we actually constructed a helicopter landing pad, and with bread flour, made a big H on it so that we would be seen. And that's where the helicopter landed and started bringing people out.
As Tom Waiter wrote in the Telegraph, Nepal is heavily reliant on its tourism industry, the country's largest source of foreign exchange. In 2014, some 800,000 foreign visitors brought much needed income to the cash-strapped nation. According to experts, the earthquake had been predicted for a long time. One only hopes that it serves as a wake-up call to heed to such warnings in future. With being heavily dependent on tourism, Nepal can ill afford to neglect warnings of calamities in the future. More on that in the coming episodes. Thank you for watching South Asia Focus.